Hello folks. So today's theme is going to be keeping up with what I've been posting videos about the last few weeks, and that is low light and how to deal with it and how to overcome it. So I want to go over basically the 4 options that I use to deal with the low light. And the first thing I do, or the first option, is going to be get the big diffused set lamp type lights that I'm using right now on each side of me to light up this whole area. Now they run anywhere from 75 to, the sky's the limit on pretty much anything. So they start around the $75 range and go up, and they're nice. The problem you have with them, with these types of lights, is that they're big, they're bulky, they have to run to a outlet, so there's cords to trip over. They're not easy to move around, but if you have a lot of space and you have the means to keep them set up, or if you have the space to keep them set up, they're extremely convenient, they're very bright, and they just make every video or photo give it that really nice diffused light like I'm using right now. Okay, so that's option 1. Option 2 for video is to use a LED light. Now this guy here is a little Manfrotto, little tiny rinky-dink light. Let me see if it'll focus on there. And what this does is attaches to the top of your camera into the hot shoe, and you manually turn this one on with a little button on the side, and it follows you around wherever you're aiming, and it does a good job. So here's a quick sample for this. Okay, so this is without the Manfrotto LED attached. I'm sorry, I said attached, I meant on. It is actually attached right now. So let's turn that on. So there it is. I added it. That's on the first setting. Okay. Now here it is on the second setting. That's a bit harsh. It's getting a little bright there. But as you can see, now here it is on the brightest. Even more detail. And like I said, this will last about 2 hours. Well, depending on which brightness you're using. So figure an hour to 2 hours, depending on the brightness. But it really adds a lot to it. Now let's turn it off. Well, here, let's go back on the first. That's the first light, so you saw the difference there. Now let's turn it off completely. Okay, now it's off completely. And these guys are nice. They last a couple hours. They're fairly inexpensive. They range anywhere from $20 to $30 up. As usual, you can get way up in price. So starting around the $20 to $30 range for those types of lights, which are nice and they're convenient. And now, one thing I want to say about them, not all of them have diffusers, which they can be extremely bright on the subject if you're using it on, say, kids or something. And if they look, it will blind them. This Manfrotto here that I've got, this exact one, it's tiny, costs about $80. It comes with a little diffuser, and I absolutely love this little guy. This thing is fantastic for on-the-fly, fairly low-light video work. That's great. Okay, so another option, and I've made videos about this. The last video I posted is right here. Go down to that thumbnail there, and you can watch it. But it's about the lenses. Now your other option is, the camera comes with a kit lens, which isn't very good in low light. So your other option is to buy lenses that have better, larger apertures, which I go over in detail in this video and kind of show, well, not really in detail, but I show examples. So if you want to see about that, if you want to see more about the lenses, watch that video. But I'm just going to say that option gets extremely pricey, extremely quick. Now you can go with some more inexpensive options for that, but you sacrifice a lot when you do that. Let's say the 50mm f1.8 or this here, the 85mm f1.8. These are fantastic lenses, but if you're trying to do something indoors, you need to be way back to get a lot in frame. They crop in a ton. 50mm and an 85mm, especially on a crop sensor, you're right up on the subject's face. You got to be way across the room. You got to be in a huge room to get everything, and then you can barely hear it. Distorts the sound because you're so far away. You can imagine all the issues. And then the other hand, if you want to go with the larger the 18 to say 35 f1.8 Sigma, you know, you're out $600 to $800. So the lens option is fantastic, don't get me wrong, but the price goes up quickly. So there's your third option, change the lenses. Your fourth option is to get an external flash. Now these range in price from $30 to $40 for a little cheap one that goes in the hot shoe, and most of them sync with your camera. If it's, you know, the T7i, if you're watching this, you probably have a T7i or something similar, and it syncs with your camera and it'll flash for you. And or I mean, obviously you could use the flash that's built into the camera, but these flashes tend to have a little more oomph to them. They do a little more. This particular one here is a little fancy. It's the 470EX AI. It does the, you know, the bounce light where you hit the button and it'll measure and calculate and do all that crap for you and determine which angle off the ceiling if you want to use bounce, and it's got a bounce adapter, or you can just go straight on, you know. And again, these things range from $30 to keep going up, you know. Like most things in photography and videography, the price just keeps going up to as much as people are willing to spend. So if you're not careful, you could really get into trouble in that mess. But anyway, so these are the options you have for low light. And this is the reason I'm making this video, is because I wanted to show some examples and stuff of these to show that, you know, there are options out there. If you're new to photography and stuff, this is what you want to look at, especially coming up on winter with the days getting shorter, the nights getting longer. You're spending more time in low light, and you're probably going to, you know, a lot of people get their equipment around the holidays, Christmas, Black Friday. Maybe you just got the camera, so you're going to be struggling with the low light. That's why I've been making these videos, because these are the problems I had when I started. And I can tell you right now, these little guys, these little attachments here make a huge difference. And some of them are fairly inexpensive, and they can make a huge difference in your image quality. Because let's face it, that's what we're dealing with most of the time in photography and videography. It's a battle against the light, finding the right light, getting enough light, blocking light. You know, it's all centered around light, right? So these are some options in low light. All right, folks, that's about it. Oh, let's go over some pricing really quick. Again, the lenses, they start the 50 millimeter starting price around the $125. Like I said, the lights I'm using on the sides here, these big, huge lights that do a great job, around the 75 and up. The LEDs, you know, you can get them on Amazon, whatever, probably starting around the 30 to 40. And then the attachments up top, again, around the 30 to 40. This particular one's pretty pricey, but I wanted to try it. I'm curious. I was curious about it. You don't need to go this route. You can just get something else. The key for these, I think, that I found for these external flashes is to get a diffuser of some kind, because the light gets kind of harsh and you get some pretty bad shadows if you don't. But these are just great options, folks. And you don't have to break the bank to get them. And they could really make your experience with the photography or videography a lot more fun. All right, well, that's going to wrap up this video. Thank you for watching. And if you want to see, I'm going to do a review on the Manfrotto here, go more in depth on what I found with it. That's fairly simple, but I want to do that. I'm going to go into the Speedlight, because this thing is pretty interesting and it's a lot of fun for photography. And being fairly new to photography and learning a lot, this thing it's a lot of fun, a lot to learn. And then I also just got this 85 millimeter f1.8 for portraits, because I had nothing for portraits for longer zoom portrait. So the 85 is gonna be nice. I can't wait to get into that. So that's it. As usual, happy holidays, be safe out there, and hopefully we will see you soon. Thank you for watching. Oh, and subscribe. All right, folks, thank you.